Today we're going to talk about website responsiveness and quality check. So QA and QC. So the way that you do that, first of all, is the menu. So the designer is going to send you things like their prototype can be like in Webflow, can be in Figma, it can be in Miro, it can be in any design tools. So it's just to compare whatever they gave you and to see how you can replicate it. But most of the time, the design tools that they always use, like Figma and all those others, sometimes they are um, measurement. They don't come exactly like the one that you use in the while you're developing your site. So you must always work with the designer so that you can try to balance your what the spaces, the fonts and stuff like that, font sizes. And you must always have even though they're going to give you like Figma and all those other prototype link for you to follow through, you must always have the branding guideline, because of from the branding guideline document is that's where you're going to be able to see things like font size, font color, font name and all those stuff. You're going to see at exactly the better measurement for different kind of like items that you're going to use for your HTML. So now we have the header, like for instance, like this one here, the header. You must make sure that the space you have, the space between the logo. It depends on the logo, but for the logo in this kind of this type of logo, make sure that you must always leave some space between. And then the same goes with the menu. And also for when it comes to accessibility, because of there's some other people, they have like vision impairment, you must make sure that the color you can see here is green and light, that this kind of like a light, a bright green, which is people with vision impairments, they can have like a bit of issue there. So you must make sure that your button color, background color, and the text need to be readable. So this one is too much bright. Yeah, need to be readable. And then now we have, as you can see here, so for the section, also as you can see, we must always like keep space between the heading and the heading and the descriptions. So keep space, and also the description with the button, you keep space, and also the image and the content always have some space. Some space can be a bit less here, yeah, but always have some space, cannot be like very tight there. And when it comes to the section, must make sure that the section there is enough space between the items inside, the content inside, and the edge of the section. Must always have that space there. And then when it comes to you can see here we need some width. You see we're gonna need some width here, container width. So if I zoom in, you can see we're still seeing some other stuff. So we must make sure that the container width is intact. Yeah, so the container width, it can be the container body width, it can be, for instance, like 1.2. Yeah, so 1200 width, and or it can be 1.3. So that depends. Yeah, so just that depends. But yeah, it's always nice to have some width so that you can have some space there. Okay, so now we have this. Also, when you have a banner like that, you must always have space between the content and the form, and the form. And then, as you can see with the form there, also spaces. You're checking the space, and then you're checking the let's say for instance the space between the label and the input. So you must always have kind of like a measurement space. So you cannot make this to touch almost like the edge of this input. So you can even add more space, or it can just be balanced like that because of the font text is a bit small. So the text, the fonts, the default, the base font size that you can use, the one that is like from like 16 pixel, from 16 pixel and upward. so that they can be readable and stuff like that. So that is a bit, yeah, from 16 pixel, yeah, is better. So that the thing need to be readable. If you have, for instance, like 14 pixel and stuff like that, some of others is gonna be difficult to read. And yeah, so it's good to have 16 pixel and upward. So your paragraph, you can make it them 16 pixel. Yeah, if you want it to be a bit smaller, like 15, you can go to 15, but 16 is better. Okay, so now yeah, so and then after that, you must always keep space between inputs. So you have a good space there. Yeah, between inputs, always put the space between. And the button, you must always have your space and stuff like that. And when you come to the button, always have the over effect. You can see, so always have an over effect so that the user can see that, okay, this is a clickable element. You can see there. And so goes to the menu as well. Yeah, so the menu is just nice to have some like over effect and stuff like that when it comes to yeah, to the menu and stuff. Yeah, so and then to have this, just showing you that you have, how to call it again, you are like in the active what page. So you're on this page here, so it's showing you that. So you must always have kind of like an active, can be a color, active color can be anything there, and so forth with the internal like child menu as well. All right, so as you can see, like space, so let's make a lot of space here. Keep some space because this one is too tight, so you have to have space there. And then, as you said, sections, between section, the content must always have space, which you find this one here, and then you have the background color. So as you can see, must make sure that like the background that you're gonna have, the image need to be so the image need to be compressed. So the best the weight of the image need to be less than 150 kilobyte when it comes to the banner. But at the same time, the quality of it, you must always check the quality, must have good quality. You can see this one does not have a good quality, it's blurry a bit, so it need to be good quality, but make it like around 150 kilobytes when it comes to the banner. And the size of it must be almost like 1.6 yeah, 1.6 width when it comes to the banner. And then when it comes to the smaller images like this this one, you can make it like the weight of the image need to be almost like yeah, like around less than 100 kilobyte or less than 80 kilobyte. And the image like that, less than 20 kilobyte. And the image like this, less than 10 kilobyte. So that is the weight of the, so that the page can load very very fast. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, spaces as well as a space. Yeah, so here is just to add us some spaces there. Yeah, so like that. So yeah, so also another thing is to avoid is when you have your button to shrink like that. You see, yeah, so it need to be intact. It must just be when someone over, and then maybe the background color of the button must yeah, you must have a kind of like a different background color or a different kind of over, but it mustn't be like in the text to do that. Yeah, okay, you can see it's popping up a bit fine. So yeah, all right, so now here you can see space between is great. You have space there, the space also is a bit fine, but it's for the button and text, you must always have like more space, just to, yeah, to make it great, even double the space here. So all right, so this one also is fine. So as you can see, this does not have like space between, but because of all of them, they're in the white background, you want to be able to see it. But the way that it has this effect, which is fine. It's just the font size. It's just to put the font size a bit bigger to like 16 pixel. Yeah, 16 pixel, and then to avoid this the text to shrink like that. Okay, so we have the icon there is fine. It's fine there. As you can see, this one here, this text, this image, and this is almost like is the position of the image and the content is almost like in the middle. But in this context here, it's gonna be fine this to be almost here, around there, which is gonna look a bit fine there. So we have the accordion. Yeah, accordion is fine. Must just the button. It must be like when you have a title like that, it need to be readable. So like a bit, 16 pixel and up. This thing can be even be 18, and then a bit bold and stuff like that. So that can be. It's always about readability, so accessibility. Yeah, and then space there. And see the image. Like we are saying that the image, the smaller image like this must always be less than, like this can be like less than 50 kilobytes. Yeah, the weight of the image less than 50 kilobytes. Okay, we have the button like that. Yeah, there's a great space there. Yeah, and also the color must just be, tested for people with visual impairments, just to try to make sure that your color is not too much bright when you're using things like orange, green. Okay, so you have space there. This is too far high, so it must it's supposed to be somewhere there. We have the buttons. We have this is fine. You can see there we have different kind of, so the only problem that it mustn't shrink like that. And this is because this is the button. It looks like a people want to click there, so you need to have a different kind of, the background need to change. You mustn't shrink, mustn't show that underline. So this is the way that you do your QA. So you can see here, that's fine. You can see the image blurry. The image mustn't be blurred. Mustn't be blurred. Okay, so and after that we have our footer. The same thing. The font size mustn't shrink when you are hovering. You can have an underline like this when it comes to the text only. Foot and stuff like that. Yeah, so here the same way, must always have already reserved privacy policies and all the stuff. But the point is that all the fonts, the size of the items need to be a bit 16 pixel above if when it comes to anything smaller. Okay, now we're gonna go to responsiveness. So here we have, let's start first of all with iPad. So I have iPad there, 100%. So you must always use, to use the responsiveness, is just to do inspect element. Let me do this one here. So is just doing, to get to the responsiveness, you right click, inspect element, and then after that you come there, you click. There you can change different kind of devices. And then here you can change some percentage if you want to see it nicely. So the iPad is gonna look like this. So this, it need to be almost somewhere there, but depending the design, but to always be great. So your Ambega menu is somewhere there, and the logo on the left side, and the Ambega menu on the right side. This is fine to have two columns there, and this the image or icon was supposed to be somewhere there nicely. And this could have been nice if it's a bit a fixed button in the column here. We fix the button, and then is gonna be like a fixed button. So this is gonna be almost here. No, not fixed button, absolute button, but it's gonna be fixed inside the box. You're gonna use the position absolute, which is gonna be somewhere there, so that they must always have the same position with the other buttons. Yeah, and then reduce. It's almost just a reducing font size. So when you're going to responsiveness, you must always be aware of the fonts that you can kind of like reduce their sizes in responsiveness. So things like this, it can just be like one column. This content must go through that, and then this form must collapse at the bottom there. Yeah. So that must keep sense. So also here, when you have things like that, it's the same way. Inside this container, when you're gonna make it full width, it's gonna be a bit fine. But when it comes to smaller screen, it's gonna also need to collapse. And then when you go to, so you're on like iPad and stuff, is now the spaces that you are having in the desktop. When you get to mobile, let's say for instance iPad, you must start to reduce the space. It's always great to start to reduce some space there around items. And then the font size also to reduce the font sizes. Okay, you can see the too much spaces. This one can become like one columns. So it's gonna be like this, is gonna collapse. This needs collapse to the bottom. And then as you can see with mobile, we don't need the over effects because of it's gonna be like a tapping. You are tapping there, so yeah. Right, so we have this is fine. Just the image also just to be aware of some spaces when it comes to mobile, to reduce spaces around, to reduce the button size as well, like the iPad when you're on responsiveness. Okay, this is also is fine, but also it's just to think about it in the normally, yeah, and the when it comes to responsiveness, so that must be readable, and some space mustn't be like tight like this. And then the font size also, you don't need to reduce the font, so 16 pixel when you get to mobile, you have to keep your like paragraph in that size. If you're gonna go lower a bit, 15. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that this button here, whatever clickable element that you're gonna have, it need to be, because of it, we do measure when you are clicking, the thumb is almost like around 50 pixel. That your finger thumb is almost like 50 by 50 pixel. So that those elements need to be properly clickable. So you must always make sure that the height of your things of your button is around 50 pixel height, 50 pixel height, and then yeah, more than 50 pixel or equal, or it can be when it comes to the width, it can be 50 and or higher. So you can see this is fine. You can see if you go to the drop down here, the same way, 15 pixel, the height means to be 15 pixel high, 50 pixel, 50 pixel, the height. Okay, and then yeah, so also the bright to always fix the bright. You can see, yeah, and always make sure that the drop down menu always responsive. Yeah, it's already, yeah, it's responsive, just to make sure it's tied nicely. Yeah, so what else do we have here? Yeah, so you can see this was supposed to collapse because just the content to come down at the bottom. The second column was supposed to collapse there, and then you have a full width there. The same goes, yeah, so this one could have just been smaller again, and then you have the small but image. Always make sure that your image, you resize your image in media queries. So and the same way here, so the media queries that you can use, as you can see there, they're showing you different kind of media query that you can target when it comes to the iPad 768. This is 768 by 1024. And then we have yeah, so 768 and 24. This is your way, you can see how you can target your media query. You can see the space, and then here it was supposed to collapse to where, or at least they have letter, for instance, 1 2 3 4 5, like 6 or 4 items per row. See, yeah, 4 items per rows when you go to a smaller screen, and then after that it must collapse again. Okay, this is also when you go to more responsiveness, always reduce spaces. All right, so now, and also making sure that when you go to, when you're checking your stuff, they must get to the footer. Sometimes get stuck. Yeah, there's the footer. Yeah, the footer can be 2 columns, a bit like this on iPads, but it's better to make it like because if it's 4 columns, to make it even like so now if we go now to, now we're gonna jump now to our phone. Let's check. Okay, so go back 100%. Okay. Okay, so here we have okay, so with the phone here, so as you can see, scroll up. Okay, so now when it comes to the to phone, so that's, it must always be, so like we said, the embed must be the side, and the logo on the left side. So the most important part is the images. always reduce the images, and also to be aware of columns, column spaces between when you go to mobile. So you can even try to start to set up those CSS on your desktop, where you can put margin bottom or padding bottom already. So the moment once you get to a responsiveness, it's gonna be easy for you. So you're gonna see already the space there. So yeah, always be aware of that. And also the fonts, the H1. So yeah, you must always have like one H1 per page. So you cannot have like two H1. So you can only have one H1 per page for SEO purpose. And also, and after that, you can have like a lot of H2s and all the other headings and stuff like that. But H1 must always be one though. And then yeah, so when we're talking about accessibility, so this is not readable, so you must make sure that when you get to mobile, your banner mustn't interfere with the content, with the text. And also reducing the size of the font. Yeah, when you get to mobile, it's with the size of the font of the image, and reducing the spaces on your left and right. Okay, that's fine. So stuff is gonna collapse, and also space between section must always be reduced. That is fine. Okay, as you can see, always have that margin bottom when you are setting up this one on desktop, so that when the items collapse on responsiveness, it's gonna always give us the gap. And yeah, so we have this the same way, as you can see, spaces between, so the spaces must be almost the same spaces there. You can also have it there. And then when it comes to left and right spaces for all those stuff, at least we have 20 or 30. As you can see, this is too tight. 25 or 30 are always the best. So between left and right for all your section. Yeah, this was supposed to collapse even 2 columns per row. And yeah, 2 columns per row. When you go to very smaller font, it can become now 1 column per row because of its product. And then the space, always have a less space between sections when you get to mobile. And this is fine. And yeah, as you can say, the font size always 16 pixel and up. Right, so you can see there, yes, the space is a bit fine, but to reduce it again a bit. And yeah, the image is fine there, and always be aware of the spaces when you get to mobile. The same way here, when you're setting up your button there on mobile, on desktop, must always keep the margin bottom already. So when you get to doing your responsiveness, it's gonna collapse and give a gap at the bottom there. And then the space here, almost like half. Okay, okay. So we have this also, like this one here, to collapse when you get to mobile now, to collapse even 2 items per row. And then, as we can say, that your background mustn't interfere with the text. Must always make sure, so it must be readable. And your H1, your H2 need to be reduced as well. And your paragraph, if you are using 16 pixel, yeah, they can be kept like that. The button, to always avoid the button with a lot of texts. But if you have a box that's gonna have a lot of text that's clickable like that, you can try to fix them. Okay, so this is the way that you do it. So now, when it comes to, if you can go straight to the footer, so the same way it goes with the footer. You can see the footer is fine there, but spaces, always give a margin bottom from your desktop. So when you're doing responsiveness, this is gonna give already a gap, as you can see. And then, and so your social media there items, to have a also space between your social media items and the bottom, the edge of the page as well. So yeah, so this is the way that you set up your stuff. So another way to do your responsiveness, so here we can see doc size. You click there, you can see how you can change this element. See, this one goes down, doc side go up, You can put it on your left side. Yeah, there. So this is the way that you check your responsiveness and all the stuff. And then we have like this. So let's say, for instance, you want to see, let's put this one there. So another way of doing this one is when you're checking responsiveness, you must make sure that when you're going like that, your site needs to be responsiveness. It needs to be responsive. That's why we call it responsiveness. It's not just a matter of iPad or phone, but when you are moving, you see those, you have to be aware of all devices, because we have different kind of devices with different sizes. But yeah, from your desktop, always make sure that from your desktop, you are setting up already your CSS to like the padding and stuff like that to be available. But the only way, the good practice when you're doing responsiveness, you must always like build your, when you are building a site, in the mindset of from mobile to desktop. But now when you are doing the quality assurance, so the set has been already built. So it's just for you to make sure that the paddings and spaces and the font sizes are responsive when you are going to different devices. And this is the best way. It's not just a matter of checking to check the iPad, the iPhone, but it's also have doing this, because if you want this also to be responsive, any breaking points, you must always have you must always work. So you have a as you can see, so we have iPhone, like the phone, it can be, for instance, between this breaking points. Yeah, so the breaking point can be 479, and we have 479, we have 320 for smaller phone, we have 991 for some of the phone that they have bigger screen. We have 1024, 768 to 1024 when it comes to certain iPad, the certain tablets, so that depend. Yeah, so the media query can just be yeah, in the different way and stuff like that. But you have three main media query, which is let's say, for instance, yeah, let's just say three media query. So you have a bigger screen or maybe your laptop, and then after that we have the tablets, and then we have the phone. So that one must always make sure that those three aspects, they are really working fine. But that's it. So if you like this video, click a thumbs up, and then you can subscribe for more.